Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Radiant Living podcast with myself, Melanie Dean. And I'm really excited because for this episode, I have a guest with me. So, my wonderful friend Joey is here with me, and we met just in 2020, a few months ago. And I felt this incredible energy when I met Joey, and instantly I felt so warmed to him, and I wanted to be around him, and I wanted to know and learn more about him. And we obviously had amazing, wonderful, interesting and deep and really connected conversations. And then obviously through those conversations I discovered that he works with energy and he helps people create their radiant life by working with energy, with one-to-one coaching, and he's also got a really amazing YouTube channel as well. So hi Joey, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Really good, thank you. So I know obviously there's so much to what it is that you do, but do you want to just share some aspects of that with the people that are listening in, so they get an idea of what you do, and also maybe just share a little bit about how you came to what it is that you do. And obviously I know that's been a journey obviously, but maybe just speak about these last few months even.
Yeah, sure. So basically what I'm doing at the moment is I do energy reading sessions, and as you mentioned, I do coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I help people to really be abundant in all aspects of their lives. I just help people to go within and really face anything they need to face that is blocking them to be successful. That's what I do. Now, how I got to do this, well, it's a really long story, but I'm going to try to keep it short. So in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, there was lockdown and everything, and I got to a really low point into my life. And it was interesting because I went through a huge awakening 3 years ago, but it was sort of like I started to use spirituality to mask some aspects of myself, and I didn't realize until the beginning of 2020. So I ended up meeting this person, this guy who I felt this really pull towards. It was like something that I could never explain. It was just something huge. Like this, it's like a romantic sort of connection, and I just couldn't put my words to it. So I started to do some research and everything, and then I came upon the term twin flames. And then that's when I started to go on YouTube and started to see coaches and all these kind of things. And I was like, what is that about? So then I ended up finding a YouTube channel specific for these kind of, specific for this sort of topic. And that's where I found my mentor. And I discovered that this person that I met, he was triggering me so much because there were so many things that I went through as a kid that I was repressing and that I needed to work on. So it was sort of like he was mirroring everything that I needed to work on. And it was interesting too, because it was sort of like he would sometimes ignore me or something, and I would get angry, and I was like, why am I getting angry? Why do I want this attention so much? What is this? It's codependency. What is this codependency? And with my mentor, I got to find out that as I was growing up, I suffered abandonment issues. Like my parents, they weren't there for me. My mom and dad, they had to work really hard when I was a kid because my mom fell pregnant before they got married. So there was a lot of trauma and a lot of things that I suffered when I was little, and there was a lot of attention that I didn't receive that was mirroring with this person. And that was a huge catalyst for my second or third awakening, let's call it this way. And I did this huge and deep inner work, and then I started a YouTube channel. And when I realized I was doing energy readings for people, was coaching people, and it was helping them to be successfully abundant in all aspects of their lives, pretty much.
That's incredible. So also I remember you telling me as well that you do channel, and obviously I mentioned that at the beginning. Can you just share a little bit about that first time that happened?
So there was one day that I was sitting in my bed and I was meditating, and I noticed that my head started to move as I was meditating. So And then I was like, what is this? This is weird. What is going on? My head is moving. What is that? Cool. So the next night, the same thing happened, and it started to happen, and it happened and happened. And I started to feel some sort of energy within my body, like this jolt of energy. And then there was one night that I went within, and I was meditating, head started to move, but then I opened my eyes. But I could tell that it wasn't me looking through my eyes, that there was some sort of other consciousness within myself looking through my eyes. And it was really exploring, and it was feeling good to be on planet Earth and to be physical. Then I remember I snapped out of meditation, and then I jumped off my bed and I looked quickly, and within a fraction of seconds there was this huge light being on my bed. It had human form like me. It was as if I got out of that light and was looking at it from the outside. But it was within seconds, and I was like, what is that? What's this? So then I started to read more about it, and then I started to find out about channeling, that people could channel entities, beings, and all these kind of things, multidimensional beings and everything. And then I started to read more and more and more and more, and then I had a friend at the time, and we were chatting about it, and then she was like, why don't you try to channel it to me? Because that was a thing. I couldn't really talk to it, to whatever I was channeling back then, because I felt that it was hard. It was like one consciousness within myself. How am I going to detach and try to talk to it? So I remember it was a full moon.
Obviously. Of course it was.
And we were in my bedroom, and then she was like, okay, so let's do this. And I was a bit afraid in the beginning. So I closed my eyes, and then she started to ask questions. Nothing came up. And then again, and I was like, oh, I'm so nervous. I'm afraid. I've never done this. And she was like, no, just relax. And then out of a sudden, because I wasn't paying attention to it, my shoulders rolled back, and then my spine went straight. And then I closed my eyes straight away. And it was completely voluntary. Like I wasn't meaning to do it. So then she started to ask questions, and then I can't really remember what the being that I was channeling said, but it was a really high vibrational. She said that the energy that she felt in the room was of bliss and unconditional love, that she had never felt like that before. Even my housemates, they were outside of the room. After we finished this, they asked me, what was happening in the room? We felt that there was something. And they weren't even like spiritual or nothing. They were just like, there was something huge happening in your bedroom. What was happening? And then I told them, and they were like, wow, cool. So then I was sort of channeling like that, which I call it, they told me as well, I call they, the crew that I channel, which is, there's two types of ways of channeling, which is the way that you go in a trance. And then the other way is when you do the work completely and you transmute and you kind of like integrate all the lessons that you need. It's sort of like you don't really need to go in a trance. Like you become what you're channeling, pretty much.
Yeah.
Cool. So then I was channeling on that first way of a trance for quite a while, and then I got to discover a little bit about the Akashic records. And I was channeling through that as well. But it was, what I noticed with that was that I was always giving my power away to something external. I would be like, oh, the Akashic records, oh, the beings, oh, it was always me giving power externally, instead of realizing that I was a vessel, and it's because I was tuning in, that's what I was attracting. Yeah. You see, because it's the vibration, it's a law of attraction, it all goes hand in hand. Yeah. So then after I started to work with my mentor and go over my traumas and stuff, which was last year, last year being 2020. 2020, yeah, okay. 2020. And I had this, I call it the third, the fifth awakening. I don't know, like many awakenings. I noticed that the way I channel started to change. I noticed that I didn't need to go on a trance. I noticed that I would be at a coffee shop talking to a friend, and I would channel. And sometimes I wouldn't know when when it was me or it wasn't me, or if it was me channeling or I wasn't channeling. So it's sort of like, it's like I merged with everything that I've been channeling for the past 2 years. I merged with them, and now it's not something difficult, because before it was, let's call it difficult, quote unquote difficult, because I had to go on a trance, I had to be very relaxed and everything. But now, you see, I'm chatting to you, and I probably already channeled in and out as I was here talking to you, without really having to go on a trance. And yeah, so then now today I work with the beings that I channel. I work with Archangel Metatron, Pleiadians, multidimensional beings, Arcturians, Anterians, so all these really high vibrational multidimensional beings. I normally don't stick with labels, and it's something that they taught me as well, which is don't stick with the labels. And it's interesting because I never knew what I was channeling until 2 months ago, that I told you about that experience at school, like with Archangel Metatron and everything. And then I asked them, and I said, why just now? And they said, well, because now you know that you are powerful. You know that we know that you know enough so that you won't place your power within us. That we are here, that you're a vessel, but you are powerful enough. Like, you are part of us. That's what they made it clear. That you don't need to stick with the Pleiadians, the Archangel Metatron, and one thing, which is also connected with creativity and opening up to many possibilities.
It's a very human thing to do, isn't it? To say, you're over there and I'm over here, we're separate. And just naturally we can, as humans, just give our power away just so easily. We know it's because it I guess it just takes the weight off our shoulders a bit, but actually it's so the opposite. It's such a trickery of the ego, isn't it? You know, but it's very much, I think, a human thing to do, to want to label something and want to say, well, what is that, meaning that over there, when actually, when you're, like you say, when as you're on that journey and you start realizing, well, I am source, you know, I am power, I am that which I channel, like, because I have to be, otherwise how can it enter, how can it come in? There has to be a match for it to come in. And then if there's a match, well, where's the separation? Well, we know separation as humans on planet Earth because we have a skin, we have a vessel, we have a body, we have this finite object that we hang out in, right, in this lifetime. But in other dimensions, they don't necessarily have, you know, that the vessel that they hang out in, right? So it is a bit more of a fluidity. And I think I think it's very easy, isn't it, for us as humans to want to know, like, but why, but what, but how, but who? You know, we always ask those, how, why, what, where, when? You know, like, tell me. And I'm sure you probably experienced that with clients, where, especially if you're tapping into the I never know how to say Akashic records, and then you want to, like, well, what's in store, what's coming? But obviously you realise, by maybe, for you anyway, your journey, what your path with that was, felt like you were giving your power away to something else. Yeah,
and it was interesting because, as well, when I was working with the Akashic Records, it was something that I noticed that I started to be really focused on the past as well, past lives, and also because before you get in, there is this prayer that I need to say, and now it's what I've been noticing, and that's what they've been channeling to me as well, which is, it's the new way, it's the new earth. Like, you don't need to, it's easy to channel, you can be, do or have anything you want. And this is it also it connects with manifestation, because channeling, it's about letting go of expectations. And this is huge. It's something that I talk to all of my clients, which is before I do an energy reading session, I get a booking and I wake up in the morning and I look at my calendar and I say, oh, okay, so there is a client today. But I don't question, am I going to be able to channel today, or am I going to be able to have visions about their childhood? Am I going to be able to read their thoughts? Or it's about being fully present, and then you give the information. Mm-hmm. There's no they've been channeling to me now. There's no event. It's like making channeling, manifestation, attracting, all this normal. Which is, it's something, but it's something that I noticed that a lot of people, they end up putting this on a pedestal and end up putting them away. And I get a lot of people also telling me, oh my God, I wish I could do this. And I tell people, you can do this as well.
And not only can you do it, but you are doing it.
Yes.
You just don't know you're doing it.
Exactly.
That's something I'm really passionate about, especially obviously law of attraction, energy, frequency. And then I do hear people say, oh, she's really good at attracting, law of attraction. She's really great at manifestation. And I'm like, babes, we're all good at it. It's just what are you focusing on? You're totally getting what you're focusing on. It's just, it's having... it's minding the mind enough, right? Isn't it? It's that discipline of mind to know what it is that you want to create and hold the vibration, hold the frequency of what it is that you desire, so it can come in. But that's the difference, isn't it? It's that discipline in holding the vibration and the thoughts of what it is that you want to attract. Because either way, you're going to attract it.
Exactly.
Okay, we just had to pause a second then, because there was a massive scream in the swimming pool. But we're back here.
Hello.
we're back into our flow, back into our chats. But there was one thing that I wanted to ask you when you were speaking, and that is, obviously, when you're channeling and when you're opening up, how then can you use that to benefit your everyday living? Because I'm very conscious of, being that spiritual hermit and thinking life is sweet. And that's because I'm not out there living life. It's very easy to go into that way. But actually, we want to be playing the game of life and being in the, we don't want to be in the stands watching. We want to be in the arena playing the game of life and getting all the juice from it and everything else. But it's incredible when we can do that in a connected way. Because we can feel like aligned, and we can feel like we're on the path of destiny versus fate. We're on the path of I am the creator of my life versus life keeps happening to me. So how can we then, really create that beautiful life from understanding these concepts? And is there any tips that you can give people in terms of maybe they can open up that channel, and that can then help them in their, basically create their radiant life, their radiant life today, in this lifetime, in this moment, and in every moment?
Well, the best thing, and it's what I always talk about on my channel when I talk about with my clients, is it's inner work. It's going within and removing any blocks that's within you. And I think you talked about that in your first podcast a little bit, about the conditioning that you go to school and all these sort of things, and which is true. Like when they gave me this metaphor ages ago, which is when you're born into this planet, you're born naked, but not only your body, your mind. Your mind is naked. Then what happens is your parents, they put their clothes on you, what clothes they think is best for you. And then they put you in front of a television, and they send you to school, and then you have teachers who are also, let's call it programmed. They're also programmed to focus on a lack mentality, or to not allow things to be in flow. And then, like I said before, from the things in the television they watch, and then the parents. So there's so many patterns that are put onto us once we were born. It's sort of like, it's not even sort of, it is, we don't even have a choice. Right?
It's like the documentary The Matrix.
exactly and the thing is, and that's the beauty of life as well, and that's why one of the reasons why we're all here, it's to experience life on planet Earth, to go through all the things that we need to go through growing up, but then we end up discovering something that we already are, something that we have always been before we were even born, which is we're soul, we're powerful and everything. And then that is definitely the key, which is seeing what happened to you as you were growing up, and how it mirrors with your sorry, just give me a second. How it mirrors with your current life, which is what I like to call, it's the core frequency. So basically the core frequency is what happens to you from the age of 0 to 7 years old. That is your core frequency that you're going to hold for your entire life. So many people, they might, which happened to me. For example, I saw my dad going bankrupt when I was 7. And there were so many other things that I went through growing up with my family. And I noticed that when I moved to Australia and I got into the adult life, I couldn't really keep up with, abundance or money. Money was always an issue for me. Keeping that abundance or keeping that flow. And then I started to connect the dots and I was like, wow, but wait, that's because it happened with my dad and I saw that we ended up going from having everything to nothing. And this was the pattern that I caught myself in. I would always have everything, but then it would go away quickly. Have everything and go away quickly. So it's sort of what switched everything for me, which is going back. And they show it to me as well, which is, it's sort of like, imagine that you're a pipe, right? And but because you've been on this planet, you've gone through so many traumas and everything, the pipe, there's little things, little pieces of dirt within the pipe. So then when you turn the tap on, the water, yes, it'll come through the pipe, but on the other side, it'll come out a little bit dirty. So that's the thing. When we come up, yes, let's say, I don't want to sound, it's like, not that we're dirty, literally, if you know what I mean, but it's...
Well, some of us are.
So yes. But it's just, we're born, like I said, clean, like naked, and then we have all that conditioning stuff within us. So then we have to let go of all that, which is letting go of even cultural limiting belief systems and everything. And then that's when you get into flow, because then when I did this sort of work, I started to notice that I didn't need to sit in my bed meditating to get on a trance and to channel and to get a message or to get an answer for something that I was looking for. It was always there. I like to say that it's like Google. I ask and I receive, ask and receive. And the same thing with manifesting, because it also speeds up the process of manifestation. Because when you channel, you don't question. You see, like, you're not questioning. It's about being present as well, and it all goes hand in hand. And you see, like, how everything is one. You see, it's like,
is there a possibility that if you are working on things from the past, that can then become the focus, and then you keep attracting the same story because that's where your attention is going? Because obviously we know the power of, in general terms, where the attention goes, energy flows. So if you're putting the attention on what happened between 0 to 7 by trying to, clear that, is it a possibility that you'll just keep rewriting the story within your mind and then you'll keep attracting it in as an adult?
So basically what I do with my clients, we let go. It's what I call in my sessions. I just say we go back, we revisit that memory, and then they feel it, and then they let it go. That's what I get them to do, and then they let it go. And then what I get them to imagine is, which I call it, it's the reparenting process, which is, okay, so if I'll give you my example. For me, I grew up in a really small house. Dad was bankrupt and everything, so I really felt everything that I needed to feel. Plus, there was all sorts of things which falls into the category of abuse and everything. So I felt through all those repressed feelings, then what I did was I let them go, and I started to visualize myself. Okay, so how would I want my childhood to be? If I could change my childhood, if I could change the feeling from the past, of course, I'm not changing the past, but I'm changing the feeling frequency from the past. And that is the key. And and that also helps you of not being stuck to the past.
Because the mind doesn't know the difference, does it?
No, that's the thing.
But it's frequency again, us as humans, we want to put it as something solid, but it's a frequency. So you're shifting a frequency. It not that it's irrelevant what's happened, because it obviously isn't, but it's the relevance is the feeling, the frequency of what happened, the feeling of what happened. That's the relevancy, right? And so when you can shift that frequency of what was, then there's a different output that's then going to reoccur when you're in, let's say, a financial situation or a relationship situation. Is that, am I understanding right?
Yes, exactly. And it's sort of like, because as a kid you had that little feeling, that negative emotion, it's, let's say, trapped within you. When you get that out and then you're replaced with something else, it's sort of like more like in flow, if that makes sense. It gets easier to flow. So that's the trick as well for not being stuck in the past, because then you will feel that memory and then you will let go. And the thing as well as kids is that our brains, our minds, they're not fully capable of understand what's happening in the world. So for example, you might have a parent who is abusive, and as a kid you have a parent and they're saying they love you, but at the same time they're abusing you. So then that's your perception of the world. So that's your frequency that you're going to hold for the rest of your life. So the trick is you go back and then you feel all those emotions that you couldn't cope with as a kid, or even a baby or a little kid. But now, because you're an adult, you understand it, then you come back with that mindset, then it changes, and you feel, and you reparent, and you move on.
Yeah, I think it's sort of going back to what you were saying about the repattern and of what was, because the perception, like you said, everything's been given to us by a perception. Like, this is what you think, because this is what you've been taught is. So you've been taught this is love. So then in your adult life, you're saying, oh, well, let's do this because, or me being a bit of a bit mean to you. Well, I've been taught that's love, to be mean. It's what we get taught, isn't it? We get taught blue is blue, and, the sky is blue, the ocean's blue, the grass is green, because that's what we're taught, the labels and the names. So that's what we believe to be true. So it's literally repatterning the frequency, I guess.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And then there is a point that, because you've done that so much, you will try to go back and you won't see anything else. Of course, there's always little nudges that you need to work on, because we're not perfect, but we're striving towards perfection, but we'll never be perfect.
As humans define perfect, right?
Exactly. Yes, you see, and the thing as well with that is that a lot of people, they think, oh, so that inner work is only a one day thing that I need to do. Oh, I'm feeling so much better. When in fact it is hard work, because it's so many years of conditioning that you need to repattern, which is the frequency that you need to change within yourself. And it also depends on how old you are, and on the sort of abuse that you went through or what you saw growing up. So there's all these sort of things that influence people. Yeah,
definitely. And so do you believe that actually, that we do sign that contract, we in the soul world, we sign that contract, and that's actually part of what we're here to do, is that work that a lot of us, we do, and we want to grow, we want to raise our vibration, our frequency, our consciousness, and that's part of that can help obviously with that. Do you believe that that's how we come into the world, with the work to do.
Yeah, definitely. It's every time that when I'm channeling, the message that I'm getting is that the message that I get is that there's so many entities, billions and trillions of entities who want to experience planet Earth, because planet Earth is the planet of smell, taste, and touch. Because when you're in the ether, it's things just are, and here you can actually touch things, and you can manifest. You can create things, but they take time to manifest. But it's good when they come through. So it's sort of like they told me as well, which it's a double mission, which is you come on this planet to raise your own frequency, but then once you do that, it's your job to help others raise their frequencies as well.
I like that. Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate to that as well. You know that, yeah, it's inwards, outwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you do the work inwards and then it projects outwards.
Exactly.
If you want to help more people, you have to help yourself. And actually, I was chatting to someone about this the other day, but redefining what selfish means. Be ish about yourself, you know, be about yourself, because that's all that is, truly. Exactly. That's all that exists. That's all that you can be about.
Yeah.
Because until you're full as self, you can't even begin to send the frequency out to, you know, people in your local community or your city or planet Earth. If your cup's half full and it's a bit like and a bit leaky and a bit dirty,
yes,
then you know it's you know, and obviously we're both really passionate about, you know, doing that, being on that growth, being on that journey. And like you were saying, it's not a one day thing, is it? It's just this continuous. For me, I believe it's a continuation, and it's infinite, because it didn't even start when we were born. Exactly, really, did it? It started maybe in other lifetimes, even, who knows, in other realms, on other planets. I mean, again, obviously depends. Everyone's got different thoughts about that, but you know, and it will continue. And I think as humans, for me, I think I was saying this to you the other day, like I had another realization of what infinite meant.
Yes.
It's such a big word for us as humans to wrap our head around. Like, oh yeah, I know what infinite means. It means infinite. And then you're like, whoa, oh actually, what does infinite mean? It's like it's really mind blowing. And so when I think about the work and the progression and the consciousness and high, you know, increasing vibration frequency, it's infinite. It's just a continuation of source, because it's infinite. It's just going round, isn't it? And then that's what creates the vortex and the energy. It's a continuation flow that's just raveled within itself, like, you know, like the figure of 8, like the infinite sign. It's just raveling in itself.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like you said, it creates a ripple effect. Because a lot of people, they say, oh, I want to change the world, I want to change people, I want to change the external. But it's sort of like, they gave me this download once, which is about, imagine there is a mirror in front of you, and you go in front of the mirror and you notice there is a little dirt on your nose, and you go in to try to rub the mirror. The dirt will still be there. You see, it's about, you have to rub your actual nose so that the dirt is gone, and then your reflection will be without the dirt, pretty much. So that's what I see as well in the world. A lot of people wanting to change externally, when it's like we've been talking about here now. It's just, you change within, which is the law of correspondence, as within so without, as above so below. Which is your external reality is a reflection of your internal reality.
And I don't know about you, but sometimes I see it in the world, that whole sort of spiritual materialism. You know, someone adorns themselves with crystals, but then they're gossiping and judging someone in a coffee shop something.
That was actually
and obviously that's me judging someone judging. You know, so I'm mindful of that too. But it's you know, the transformation that we're all going through here on planet Earth, from that 3D to 5D, it is that actually we're all awakening, and we're all on this awakening path, and it doesn't look like any particular way. It doesn't look like Hessian sack clothing or whatever it's called. It doesn't look like, crystals adorned.
Yeah.
It's, for me, it's holding the vibration of pure love, joy and happiness. And obviously there's going to be moments when when we're not feeling that, but that's because we're here for that human experience. So when we're feeling like guilt or shame or fear or anger or scarcity, like that's okay too, because that's the we live on a polarized planet, the polarity, and that's part of being here, right? Is to experience both. And as long as we don't then add shame or judgment to the depression, to the fear, then we can start obviously transcending that. But it isn't what you put yourself out there to in the physical, in that 3D, world. It's obviously so much more, and it's also so much more accessible to everyone, and it always has been, right? But we were conditioned to believe, I have to go here if I want to get closer to source, or I have to do this. It used to be you have to go to church, and then there was a period you had to go to India. I know. And now you're like, we're sat on a bed in Bondi, Sydney.
Yes.
we moved from the lounge onto the bed for the noise reasons. Okay, so I think this could be my last question, but we'll see. You never know. So let's say, for example, someone, we're sort of, let's get on the realm of Earth. We're on planet Earth, the planet that we're living on, and say someone has an opportunity comes their way, maybe to start a new business, or maybe an opportunity of a beautiful relationship. And, I think I hear a lot like, I just need a sign, or I just need to know for sure. Like, can you give anyone maybe any sort of practical tips that can help them, see opportunities, be around opportunities, grab the opportunities, even if they feel like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know if I should do this? Can you give any, do you have any thoughts or advice that you'd love to share about that?
That it's connected to, it's connected to many things. It's connected to trust, and it's connected to confidence, and how confident you are within yourself, and which again we go back to the limiting belief systems that were imprinted on us, which is a lot of people they want external validation. And I remember there was a phase in my life that when I used to do social media more, Instagram and stuff, before I got into this journey, I would take a picture and I would ask 10 people what they think about that. Like, what do you think about this picture? And each person would say something different, and I would be confused. When in fact is, Joey, what do you think about this picture? What do you think? Even it helped as well with YouTube, because I already tried to do a YouTube channel before, but it was the same thing with Instagram. I would ask people, what do you think about this? They would say, I don't like this, I don't like that. And the thing is, you won't please everybody. And that's the truth. But the thing is, and it's a bit selfish, but it's good selfish, which is, if you know what you want and that's what you want, you just go for it. You see, it's you don't need you don't need to ask 10 people what they think about it, because this is also it always goes down to validation, wanting to be accepted. But the thing is, yes, so are you going to let people accept you for the thing that you are not? Or are you going to accept yourself for who you really are, and allow whoever doesn't accept you for who you really are just come away from you? Because that's the thing. And then you fall into that category of certain people withdrawing from your life, certain people, you're not vibrating anymore with certain people or certain places and situations. But then what happens is, it may sound sad, but what happens is, after you get into this point of people, you letting go of certain people, new people come in. You see, you attract new people that are vibrating with a frequency of, like, if you value yourself, you will attract somebody who's valuing yourself. You see, you will attract somebody who loves you regardless. You see, it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's the thing. When you're in that place within yourself and you don't worry about anything or anyone, you just do you. That's the thing. They told me today. Just do you. It's simple as that. But we make
maybe
it
we need
so.
to speak to Nike to change instead of just do it.
Just do you. Yes.
Instead of it, you.
Yeah, because. Because and that's the trick, and it's so simple, but yet we all make it complicated because of everything the society does with their social media, and then we're conditioned to look without instead of looking within.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so just to finish off, is there anything that you would just love to share? Maybe it's something that feels like it's coming through you that you need to speak about, or something that you've, like a shower moment, a shower thought that you've recently had. Is there anything that, I'd love to give you the opportunity to, anything that you want to share?
The main thing is trust, trust the process. The thing is that humans, we all want to find out our purpose. And the thing is that we focus too much on our purpose, which is in the future, and we forget to focus on the now. And the thing is, I got to where I am today with my business and my clients and everything by focusing on the now. It's interesting because I didn't realize what I was doing until I was doing it. It was funny when that's
flow, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So when I was in it, until one of my friends are like, wow, so you're a spiritual coach, you're this, and I was like, oh my God, that's true. This is my business. That's it. But I wasn't really thinking, oh, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do this. This is going to be my purpose. I was already in it. And then that was it. And that's the trick as well, which is one download that I received, which was, will you go to the corner and allow the universe to meet you there? Or do you need the universe to be there first for you to make sure that everything will work out? It's about you take the step first, and then the universe comes through.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, Joey, thank you so much for spending time with us on the Radiant Living podcast. It's been absolutely beautiful and gorgeous to really hear you speak and share all this wisdom and knowledge and experience and energy, beautiful energy that you have. If people listening to this would love to connect with you or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So they can find me on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is called Soul Essence. But the spelling is different as well, which has a little bit of a story behind that. So the spelling is soul, and essence is ESCENSE. So the story behind that is that what I want to activate on people is their soul essence. So they really are. So when I was creating the name of the business, it came through as that because even the name has its own essence, if that makes sense, its own way of writing and everything else. So that's how they can find me. And there's also my website as well, which is www.soulessence.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joey.
You're welcome. No worries. Thank you for having me. It was amazing.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in to this podcast. If you've enjoyed it and you feel that you know people in your life who would enjoy this too and really benefit from listening to this podcast, please feel free to share, feel free to tag, feel free to review, to comment, to give us 5 stars, all of those things. If you want to tag me on Instagram, you can tag me at Melanie J. Dean. The podcast will be released every single week, and it will be Monday evening UK time and Tuesday morning Australia time. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you or tune in next week. Thank you. Bye.